Spartan Cafe, where ambition meets action. Oh yeah, you're in the right place.
Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive, and this one is sponsored by the Spartan Cafe app. I think sometimes we stumble upon these artists, and you
Yeah.
look at their work, and you're just like, huh, this is demanding my attention. This is something special.
It grabs you.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt with Lily Lavender Wolf.
Oh, absolutely. She's such a rising star in the New York art scene.
So we're going to take a deep dive into her world today.
I think what I really find so fascinating about her is that she really is this multi-hyphenate artist.
Right.
You know, the Spartan Cafe article we're looking at today describes her as a writer, an artist, a singer,
Oh, wow.
a philosopher, even a student.
Yeah, it's like she just refuses to be put in a box.
Yeah,
She's drawing from all these different places to create something new.
all these different experiences.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we have two sources that we're looking at.
Okay.
We have a Spartan Cafe article, which just paints this like really vibrant picture of her and her journey. And we also have a book review that goes really deep into her debut chapbook called A Compendium of Metaphors.
And you know, the Spartan Cafe article, I thought, did such a great job of highlighting how she brings in her background as a singer and a visual artist into her writing.
Oh, interesting.
Like, there's this one quote from the article that says, "Her words sing, her canvases speak, and her poems paint vivid landscapes of emotion."
Okay, that is just beautiful.
Isn't that great?
And it really like gets to what is so compelling about her work. Like she's not just writing.
Right.
It's like she's creating an experience
Yeah.
using like all of your senses.
Exactly. And that's definitely reflected in A Compendium of Metaphors. You know, the book review talks about how it's this raw and unflinching look at what it means to be human. You know, it tackles love, loss, identity, that search for meaning.
Right.
But what makes it so unique is the structure.
Yes. Tell me more about how she kind of like plays with the structure of the chapbook.
Well, you know, she's not afraid to experiment. The review mentions how she blends poetry and prose with visual elements like photographs.
Oh, wow.
So it's so much more than just your typical poetry.
It sounds like she's really like pushing the boundaries of what a chapbook can be.
Yeah.
And I feel like those visual elements must add such a different layer to how she explores those themes.
Absolutely. And speaking of adding layers, we have to talk about the power of metaphor in her work.
Right.
Both sources, you know, mention how central metaphors are to her writing, but the book review goes into how she uses them.
Well, the review called them miniature works of art.
Yeah.
So give me some examples.
Okay, so one that really stuck with me was horses running through the night sky with mouths of rubies, emeralds, blood diamonds.
Whoa. Okay, so wait. Paint that picture for me. What do you see?
I know, it's amazing.
There's such a sense of like power and beauty, but then also darkness with those blood diamonds. It's like
Yeah.
it speaks to that complexity that she's going for.
Absolutely. And there's this other one, heart-dripping, singed crimson, like so visceral,
Yeah.
so raw.
It sounds like these metaphors are doing so much more than just, creating pretty pictures.
Yeah.
They're carrying so much weight.
Totally.
Like they're these little windows into what she's trying to say.
That's a great way to put it. They're not just decorative. They're part of the meaning.
Right.
And they make her writing really impactful. And speaking of impact, let's talk about how her connection to New York City influences her work.
Yes. Both sources make it clear that her connection to the Upper West Side is like major for her.
Yeah.
But the Spartan Cafe article goes into such beautiful detail about how the city itself becomes like a character in her poems.
It's more than just a setting. It's like a living, breathing thing, you know?
Yeah.
The article even mentions how Lily finds inspiration in the everyday details of city life, like conversations you overhear on the subway or the street musicians or the energy of the crowd.
So she's like taking the pulse of the city
Yes.
and putting it into her art.
Exactly. And the Upper West Side has this history as like a haven for artists and intellectuals. So it makes sense that she feels so connected to it.
Like she's adding to that legacy.
Yeah.
Now, I also was really interested to learn that Lily has woven in poems by other poets into a compendium of metaphors.
Oh, yeah.
So like E.B. Caslick, Gilbert Wallace Stevens.
Wow.
Like that's pretty big.
Yeah, it speaks volumes about how she, you know, wants to honor her influences.
Like she's not afraid to show where she comes from,
Yeah.
but she's also making her own path.
Exactly. And that brings us to something I wanted to touch on earlier.
Okay.
The Spartan Cafe article compares Lily to the Beat poets.
Okay, I could see that.
You know, that shared spirit of rebellion and wanting to break free from convention.
There's definitely that rawness and honesty in her work.
Yeah, and it's all filtered through her own unique lens, as a woman, as a New Yorker, as a multi-hyphenate artist living in the 21st century.
And before we dive even deeper into Lily's work, I just
Yeah.
have to say I am so impressed by how Spartan Cafe champions emerging artists like Lily.
Yeah, me too.
It's so great to see a platform that's not just about connecting people, but about fostering that creativity.
Absolutely. And speaking of building a thriving community,
Have you checked out the Spartan Cafe app yet?
I have. It's amazing.
It's more than just like your typical social media.
It's a whole ecosystem.
Right. It's designed to help entrepreneurs and creatives connect,
Yeah.
collaborate, get the resources to make their dreams happen.
Whether you're an artist like Lily, a writer, a musician,
An entrepreneur with a passion project.
the Spartan Cafe app can help you find the support and connections you need.
It's available on iOS and Android, so go to your app store and download it today.
You won't regret it.
Trust me, you won't regret it.
Ah.
Now, let's get back to our deep dive into the fascinating world of Lily Lavender Wolf.
Let's do it. Picking up where we left off, I think it's just amazing how her chatbook, A Compendium of Metaphors, captures that raw energy of New York City, and the Spartan Cafe article really highlights that.
Absolutely. And Mark Moore, the author of the Spartan Cafe article, even calls it a bohemian rhapsody in ink,
Oh, wow.
which I think is just like the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
It captures her work and its connection to that artistic legacy of the city.
But it's not just energy, though, right? There's that grit, the diversity, that constant push and pull that you get in New York.
Right.
And all of that's in her writing.
Yeah, the article even says reading her work is like eavesdropping on a late-night conversation between kindred spirits, a conversation filled with laughter, tears, and moments of profound insight.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're right there with her experiencing the city.
That's such a great way to put it. And it really speaks to how she's not just observing the city.
Right.
She's a part of it. And remember how we talked about her being a multi-hyphenate artist?
Yes.
Well, that comes into play here.
Okay, help me connect the dots.
So think about it. She's a singer, she's a visual artist, a writer.
Okay,
She's experiencing the city through all these different senses, and that comes through in her writing.
So she's absorbing it, all the sights, the sounds, even the smells,
Yeah.
and then putting that into words.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why her metaphors are so vivid and striking, because they're coming from a real place.
And speaking of metaphors, the Spartan Cafe article pointed out one that I found really interesting. It was the one about horses running through the night sky with mouths of rubies, emeralds, blood, diamonds.
Oh, yeah. That one's powerful.
What do you think about that one?
It's such a strong image. It evokes this beauty, this raw power, but there's also something a little bit dangerous underneath.
Yeah.
And for me, it speaks to that duality of New York City, the vibrancy and energy, but also that undercurrent of darkness and uncertainty.
And the horses themselves, as symbols of freedom and movement, they really represent that striving, that never-ending hustle that defines New York City.
Yeah.
And then you have those precious stones, rubies, emeralds, blood, diamonds.
Right.
And it adds another layer.
Like the allure of wealth and success that draws so many people to the city.
But also that cost, the sacrifices that people make.
Exactly. So much in just one image.
Right. It's like the city in a nutshell.
And that's what makes Lily's work so great. She has this ability to take these complex ideas and emotions
Right.
and distill them into these powerful metaphors. Like she's giving us a new language.
And she's not afraid to play with the form itself.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We talk about how she mixes in prose and visual elements into a compendium of metaphors,
Yeah.
pushing those boundaries of what we think of as poetry.
Exactly. It's a multi-dimensional experience, but it's not just about being different for the sake of being different.
Right.
Everything she does has a purpose.
So it's all very intentional, very deliberate.
Totally. And it makes you think back to that Spartan Cafe article that emphasized Lily's intentionality as an artist.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't just use metaphors, she crafts them, puts so much thought into every word, every image.
Like a sculptor.
Yeah, shaping and molding the language to perfectly capture what she wants to say.
And that intentionality goes beyond just the metaphors. It's the structure, the rhythm, how she weaves everything together.
Everything is carefully considered and executed, and that's why her work is so powerful.
This intentionality also really speaks to her dedication to her craft.
Oh, yeah.
She takes her art seriously and is driven to create work that is meaningful and impactful.
And that's why it's so important to support these up-and-coming artists like Lily. They bring these new perspectives, new ways of seeing things.
Yeah.
And their work can really challenge and inspire us in ways we never expected.
It's amazing how that intentionality just shines through in her work. And speaking of intentionality, I want to bring back that idea of her including poems by established poets,
Oh, yeah.
Phoebe Caslick, Jack Gilbert Wallace Stevens, in a Compendium of Metaphors.
It's so interesting, and I think it shows how she thinks about art and creativity. You know?
Right.
It shows that she understands her place in, like, this bigger picture of literature.
Exactly. And the Spartan Cafe article talked about it as her honoring that legacy
Yeah.
while also making her own way
Like she's having this conversation with these poets.
across time.
Yeah.
It's not about copying. It's about taking inspiration and using what came before to build something new.
Right, taking what speaks to her and making it her own.
It's like she's saying, hey, this is where I come from, but I'm also going to do my own thing.
And that's what makes it so interesting. It's familiar but new, traditional but also innovative.
Yeah, and the Spartan Cafe article made a really good comparison, I thought, to the beat poets.
Oh, yeah.
There's that same kind of rebellious energy, that
Yeah.
desire to break free and try new things.
And you see that in her work, that honesty, that willingness to push boundaries.
Right, but like we've been talking about, it's all through her own unique lens.
Yeah, as a woman, as a New Yorker, as an artist today.
And this brings us to a really important point. I think supporting these new voices, like Lily's,
It's so crucial.
they offer fresh perspectives,
Yeah.
challenge how we think.
They show us the world in a way we haven't seen it before.
And platforms like Spartan Cafe are playing such a vital role in supporting these artists.
Absolutely.
They give them resources, connections, and a way to share their work with a bigger audience.
And that's huge for artists who are just starting out.
So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired by Lily's story,
Yeah.
or maybe you have a passion project you want to pursue,
Check out the Spartan Cafe app
like a great resource
for connecting with other creatives and entrepreneurs.
in building a support system.
It's available on iOS and Android, so go download it.
You won't regret it.
It's such a great way to join a community that really values creativity and innovation.
And of course, we can't end this deep dive without encouraging everyone to check out a Compendium of Metaphors.
Yeah.
And experience Lily's work for yourself.
It's such a great debut, and it makes you wonder what she'll do next.
It's a really powerful reminder that art can connect us, challenge us, and inspire us.
And Lily's journey shows that with passion and dedication and support from platforms like Spartan Cafe, anything is possible.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Lily Lavender Wolf.
We hope you enjoyed learning about her work and the world of emerging artists.
And don't forget to check out that Spartan Cafe app.
It's a great way to connect with people who are passionate about creating and making new things. Thanks for listening.